African time as we turn to the issue of women and their savings. Old Mutual's annual Old Mutual Savings and Investment Monitor 2025 has found that a proportion of women who are considerably financially stressed has risen from 39% to 43%. 76% of those who were surveyed believe that their financial situation will improve within the next 6 months. However, debt does remain a significant concern, with more than half of the working women frequently worrying about that. For more on this, we joined this afternoon by Vuyokazi Mabude, Head of Knowledge and Insights at Old Mutual. A very good afternoon to you. Good to have you with us on Africa in Business.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
So when we look at the latest OMSIM, how do you call it? Is it OMSIM, the Old Mutual? OMSIM.
OMSIM.
OMSIM. Wow, that's a tongue twister right there. Let's try again. So when we look at OMSIM 2025, when we look at that survey, it shows that there is a rise of women who are financially stressed. And if you look at the number, it has risen from 39% to 43%. What could be attributed to this increased financial stress?
Absolutely. So thanks for that question. The thing that I want to share firstly is that the trend for women is different to the trend for men. So financial stress for men is largely stable and in some places actually even declining in certain cohorts. For women, however, that financial stress is increasing, and the main drivers are things like not having enough income to cover their expenses, having too much debt and indebtedness, levels of indebtedness, the high cost of living, so the challenges within the economy, and then income security. So making sure that you actually have an income or that the job you are in is secure so that you can actually fund your expenses. The other thing which we found this year to be affecting financial stress is also things like gambling. We've seen that 46% of women are gambling, and many of them gambling to try to earn an income or to add to the income that they have. So those are some of the things that are driving financial stress and eroding the financial well-being of women.
That's really interesting. What aspects of the things that you've mentioned here are unique to women? Because these sound like factors that also would impact men. What then is the differentiator?
Absolutely. I think that the differentiator between men and women in particular in this year's survey, at least from what we've seen, is the level of responsibility that is, or the burden, I guess, if you want to call it that, on women versus men. So we have a term called the sandwich generation, which is simply just a description of, if you imagine an elastic band, someone who has both child dependence and adult dependence. So they are being stretched in both directions. The percentage of men who are part of the sandwich generation is 41%. The percentage of women is 47%. And if you go to single mothers in particular, 61% of single mothers are part of that sandwich generation. So the reality, I think, is that for most women, they are carrying a very heavy load from a financial perspective, and they're carrying it for multiple people in their lives. When one of the other statistics I think that's very important is 25% of women are giving more financial support to people in their lives this year versus last year. Mm-hmm. And that number is even higher for the single mothers. So I think the main driver from what's different between men and women is just how loaded they are from a financial perspective when you look at who are they responsible for, what do they need to pay for, what do they need to save for, their children's education, funerals, family commitments, all sorts of different things, their retirement, etc. So women, I think, are just stretched in every direction from what the research is telling us.
And what are the numbers as far as the percentage of single mothers in the country right now?
The percentage of single mothers is actually quite high right now. So women make up 45% of our sample in the OMSIM survey. And of those women that we've surveyed, 1 in 3 is a single mother. And so quite high.
It certainly is. So it's really around the burden of responsibility that women are facing, as you say. But quite interesting that despite all of that and despite that, some of these women, at least 76% of them, are rather optimistic that their financial situation is likely to improve in the next 6 months. What would have improved in that period? What is it that they're banking on?
Absolutely. What they're banking on is the fact that their income has improved versus last year. So 43% of working women in South Africa said, I actually earn more this year than I did last year. And one of the ways that they've done that is to diversify their income streams. So people are using social media to earn an income. People are polyjobbing, which is another term that comes from OMSIM, which is basically somebody who has a side hustle or a freelancing gig or a business on the side or whatever it is. They are basically finding ways to increase the pool of money that they earn, including things like using rental income in their own properties, right? So women are starting to just find innovative ways to earn more money, and that is also driving a lot of that optimism is coming from that. So it's people saying, I think things are going to improve because I'm actually seeing them improve. I'm seeing my income improve. I'm seeing that I'm finding new solutions, whether that is, like I said, renting a room in your house or using your social media pages to sell things, etc. So I think it's more the innovation that they're showing from an income perspective that's driving that positivity.
Really great insights that I'm sure are going to be informing the financial sector industry as to how to cater for this demographic. But given the results that have come out of OMSIM and the survey, what should financial advisors be doing differently in order to support women effectively?
Absolutely. I think the main thing for us is be aware and reflective of the reality that women are actually facing. I think perhaps sometimes what we are guilty of from a financial perspective is painting the picture of the average person versus the picture of your reality or my reality, because they're very, very different. And I think it's that individualized and personalized advice that actually helps someone navigate the circumstances that they're in. And in particular, I think when you talk, like we're talking about women right now, I think in particular, when we look at things like how they save and invest in the context of the things that they're trying to do, put their children through school and, get better skills even in their own jobs, etc. I think that's really where the opportunity lies from a financial advisor perspective is, can we put ourselves into these women's realities and help them navigate their finances today and actually help set them up for getting into a place where in the future they're financially fit and they're financially better off than they would be had they not received that advice.
Looking forward to what OMSIM 2025 brings us. Vuyokazi, thank you so much for taking us through those results of OMSIM 2025. Thank you for your time, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's Vuyokazi Mabude. She's the head of knowledge and insights at Old Mutual. She takes us to exactly 4:52.
Get the new